The movie begins and we see three couples in a restaurant. All six of them are part of the same friend group. They are having a party. We see a boy from the group whose name was Yun Sung, looking very sad and upset. He was upset because of a girl member of the group, called So Yun. He had recently broken up with So Yun and she was also present at the party. Seeing So Yun and other friends enjoying and laughing together, Yun feels very lonely. So Yun is leaving the town for 1 year and all the friends try to stop her. Finding the opportunity, Yun comes forward and asks So Yun to stay and says that he wishes to spend more time with her. So Yun ignores him and goes away. Yun runs behind her and tries to stop her, but she gets in a car with another man and leaves before Yun can catch up. Yun is left standing there heartbroken, staring at the back of the car slowly moving away from him. He feels hurt by the fact that it only has been 7 weeks since their breakup and So Yun already has a new partner. He goes back inside to join his friends and share his sorrow with them, but instead of comforting him, they start to make fun of him and pass comment about how So Yun's new boyfriend is more rich and handsome and he is a nobody. He gets frustrated and angry by all this and leaves. At the house, he is lying on a sofa thinking about his time together with So Yun. That's when he receives a call from an unknown number. He picks up the call and a girl speaks from the other side. She says that if you want to say yes, press any button once, and if you want to reply no, press twice. Then she asks him if he is alone at home and he presses once. Then she asks if he was asleep and he presses twice, meaning no. Then she throws a very explicit offer at him. She says that I am in the bathtub having some pleasure time, how about that you join me as well? Yun, who is feeling lonely and frustrated, gets a spark of happiness and he pleases himself to the sweet voice of the girl. After they finish, he asks her, are you a call girl? What are your charges? I'll pay. He also compliments her voice. Yun's voice and response have the girl, Yun Young, baffled. Actually, there has been a big misunderstanding. Yun Young intended to call her boyfriend, but she messed up the last 4 digits of the phone number, and she was getting naughty with Yun unknowingly. She immediately cut the call and run out of the bathroom. She was regretting it and feeling so much guilt. She calls her boyfriend and tell her of this little accident, but he don't pay much attention to her. The next day, Yun Young goes shopping with her 2 friends. She was looking to find a cute dress, by which she could attract her boyfriend, Sung Jun, toward herself because they were having some issues in their relationship and he hadn't come close to her for some time. She tells her friends about last night's call and they tease her. Later, she and Sung Jun go on a dinner date, and there she sees a gift box resting on the table. Seeing this, she thinks that this is a ring, or better a diamond ring, and that Sung Jun is going to propose to her. She feels very excited. When Sung Jun was away on a call, a waiter approaches Yun Young sitting at the table. He see that boys in Korea have no idea how to propose and offer that in return for some money he will set up a romantic environment. When Sung Jun returned to the table, the waiter put on romantic music, and when Sung Jun give Yun Young the box, the waiter come there with party poopers and congratulate them. But to their surprise, there is no diamond ring in it but an ordinary hairpin. Seeing this, Yun Young's all excitement goes away. Instead of taking money, the waiter gives Yun Young some money. On another side, we see Yun's boss getting angry at him because he keeps thinking of the breakup all the time. Via a flashback, we learn that Yun broke up with So Yun because they were having a lot of fights in their relationship. The reason to fight was that Yun did not have any job and only dreamt of making music, and they were facing difficulties in meeting their needs. From there, Yun goes to meet his friends and they were making fun of girls to cheer him up. But they stop as they receive calls from their girlfriends. Later at night, Yun is going home. He was very sad on the way. He calls So Yun, and after hearing her and her new partner's voice in the caller tune, he gets very angry. He calls her again and says many harsh things, but instead mistakenly dials Yun Young's number. After hearing these harsh things, she lashes back and scolds Yun. Then they have a long conversation. Their anger goes away and they realize their mistake. Yapin Young asks Young if he had a breakup. Yun tells her his whole story, and they keep talking all night. Jun Young was able to relate to Han's story, as she was also having trouble in her relationship. This conversation helps them become friends with each other. The next day, Yun Young goes to meet her mom and asks her about her relationship. The mother starts to tell her own story. The mother starts to give some inner detail which makes Yun Young embarrassed and she leaves. Yun Young got an idea to impress Sung Jun. That night she wears a very cute dress and goes to Sung Jun. She tries to seduce Sung Jun, but they do not go any farther as make an excuse that he has a lot of work and does nothing with her. She angrily tells this to Yun the next day. Yun's colleague who was asking Yun to dinner listened to him talking to Yun Young. After dinner, when Yun get home, he and Yun Young had some adult conversation. The following day, Yun and Yun Young are talking on call and she says that she has an ideal body that boys dream of, and Yun compliments her. She asks Yun what kind of man he is, and whether has he ever cheated on his girlfriend. Yoon says that he can't even think that. He asks if her boyfriend cheated on her. After listening to this, Yoon remembers her past when she saw Sung Joon with another woman, but she never talked to him about that and thought that he had changed. She comes out of her deep thinking and lies to Yoon that Sung Joon is a good man. In the evening she goes to dinner with Sung Joon and his friends and she sees that same girl there. And after seeing her she feels very angry because she was thinking that Sung Joon was doing it with a call girl, but learning that it was with his colleague she feels very bad. She empties a glass of beer on his head and shouts at him, but we learn that it was her imagination. The girl was there but Yoon didn't have enough courage to say anything and she only secretly feels bad. Yoon goes to a movie with his colleague, but he sees So Yeon there with her new boyfriend and he feels very jealous and his colleague gets angry and leaves. Then Yoon and Yoon, who both were feeling very lonely, decide to meet. Yoon was very excited to meet Yoon at first, but then she ponder what if their friendship gets ruined after meeting up. She calls him to cancel the meeting but Yoon had come there by then, and he sees Yoon and compliments her beauty. They spend some time together, they get a room in a hotel, and start to get intimate. Yoon feels like she is doing something wrong and pushes Yoon away and they stop. Then they talk on call even after being in the same room because they were used to talking on call. Yoon says that when she was young she thought she will have a great life once she will grow up, but now she is living an average or below average life and she wants stability in her life. Yoon commented that an average girl does not talk to a stranger on phone like this, so she cannot be average, she is extraordinary. And then he kisses her, and they get very close to each other. The next day Yoon goes on a date with Sung Joon and he tries to come close to her. But she pushes him away, saying that he gets close to her only when he wants. Then while going home in a car she asks him if he has ever lied to her and he says no. She asks him if he is sure, and he says they will talk about it later. Yoon gets a call from his ex-girlfriend, So Yeon, while he is with his friends. She asks him to go to a cafe and he says yes. He tells Yoon about this. She feels a bit sad, but then she advises him that he go meet her as a new Yoon, leaving his past behind. He does so. He dresses up nicely as a rich man and goes to meet So Yeon. He is keeping his phone to his ear, trying to pretend that he has a lot of clients. But suddenly his phone rings for real and his lie is revealed. So Yeon tells him that she saw him at the movie hall with someone and asks him if she was his girlfriend. To which he says yes and starts to brag about her. So Yeon says it didn't look like that. She invites him to drinks. Later we see Yeon returning home and he is crying. It starts to rain and he sits in a park. Yoon gets there and sits with him. He was crying a lot, so he takes him home. He tell her how at the bar his ex-girlfriend compared him to her new boyfriend and make him feel inferior. She tries to make his mood light and they talk about music. Yoon and Yoon sing together and make a song together, then they fall asleep. Yoon starts to develop feelings toward Yoon. Later they are eating at a restaurant, and Yoon goes away to take a call, and Yoon's friend notices her sitting at the table. Yoon tries to avoid her but to no avail. Her friend starts to mock her. Yoon gets there. He defends Yoon and mocks her friend in front of her clients. She gets angry and slaps him. Yoon leaves in anger, and she was feeling that her friend was right and she is nothing and she has never done anything good. Listening to this, Yoon say that if she can't love herself, how will other love her? And Yoon kiss him. Yoon's friend Sok Woon and Young Min are watching and they get amazed. Later Sung Joon tries to get physical with Yoon in the car, but she stops him and he gets angry. Yoon decides that she will stop meeting Yoon and tell him, and he feels bad. At night he hears the news of his friend's breakup, and he calls Yoon to propose to her. He says, "I don't want to stay your friend." But she was with Sung Joon and picks up the phone and put it on speaker. Yoon changes his words after listening to Sung Joon's voice and proposes to her in a unique way that only she could understand. But after some time Sung Joon also proposes to her for marriage with a diamond ring, and Yoon is unable to say no. He says that I have decided that only you can be my life partner. And apologize for taking so long. They both are happy. Yoon and his two friends Sok Woon and Young Min got into a fight and ended up in the police station. So Yeon comes there and gets them out. At home So Yeon apologizes to Yoon and says that she has realized that he is the perfect man for her, and they patch up. Yoon's marriage preparation gets started, but she is not happy. She goes to meet Yoon and finds him with So Yeon. After seeing her she gives him an invitation card for her marriage and leaves. She has tears in her eyes while leaving. Yoon is with So Yeon but his heart is not there, it is with Yoon. He apologizes to So Yeon and leaves. So Yeon cries as she loved Yoon, but he was in love with Yoon. Yoon and Yoon are also crying as they cannot be one. They love each other but their lives had come very far. Many days passed, and Yoon was going to another city with his friends, and Yoon was getting married that day. To impress his girlfriend, Yoon's friend shouts "I love you" on the crowded train. This inspires Yoon, and he gets off the train. He gets a taxi and goes to Yoon Young's wedding hall. Yoon Young's marriage ceremony was going on, but she was not happy at all. Yoon and his friends managed to get to the marriage. Yoon takes the guitar and plays the song he and Yoon Young made together. After listening to the lyrics, Sung Joon understands there is something between them and asks Yoon Young how she knows him. She says that they slept together, and she even reveals the truth about Sung Joon and his colleague. She breaks the marriage and leaves there with teary eyes. Yoon follows her and he proposes to her, but after all this, she had no faith left in love and they also get separated. A long time passed and Yoon Young has achieved many things in her professional life. One day her friends come to her and tell her that they submitted their names to a radio program and they got selected. The guest in the program is the famous songwriter Yoon Young, who is regretting her split with Yoon and finds an opportunity. She first sings the song they made together in place of her friend. Yoon is surprised, then they have a tense conversation about love, and Yoon proposes to her in a unique way. The movie ends.